Imagine this. You walk into a car dealership just to look around. You tell yourself you're not actually planning to buy anything today, but then you see it. That one car. Shiny paint, brand new interior, huge screen in the dashboard. It smells like success. A salesperson walks up and asks a simple question. What monthly payment are you comfortable with? And suddenly, the conversation changes. Instead of thinking about the total price, you start thinking about the monthly payment. The salesperson runs some numbers. Good news, we can get this down to $480 per month. And just like that, the car suddenly feels affordable. You sign the paperwork. You drive home feeling amazing. But a few months later, something strange happens. Your budget feels tighter. Saving money becomes harder. Investing becomes almost impossible. And you start wondering, how did this car become such a financial burden? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, because the way most people buy cars is completely backwards, and there's actually a very simple rule that can prevent this entire situation. It's called the 20-4-10 rule, and once you understand it, you'll never look at car payments the same way again. My name is James, and I spend way too much time thinking about how everyday financial decisions impact long-term wealth. And if you're someone who works hard, earns money, but sometimes wonders why building wealth still feels harder than it should, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we're talking about something that quietly drains more money from people's lives than almost anything else: cars. Now, don't get me wrong, cars are useful. For many people, they're necessary. But the way people finance and buy cars is often one of the biggest financial mistakes they make. And here's the shocking part. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, Americans owe over $1.6 trillion in auto loan debt. That's trillion with a T. And the average monthly car payment today is around $730 for new cars and over $520 for used cars, according to Edmunds, which means millions of people are dedicating a huge portion of their income just for transportation. And that's where the 20-4-10 rule comes in, because it solves this problem in a very simple way. Here's the thing. Most people buy cars using one question: can I afford the monthly payment? And that question alone leads to terrible decisions, because monthly payments can hide the true cost of something. Let me explain. If someone offers you a $60,000 car for $500 per month, it sounds affordable. But what most people don't realize is that the dealership can stretch the loan out to 7 or even 8 years, which means you're stuck paying for that car long after the excitement is gone. And this is where it gets really interesting, because while people focus on monthly payments, wealthy people focus on total cost and opportunity cost. That difference in thinking changes everything. The 20-4-10 rule is one of the simplest ways to prevent overspending on a car, and it has 3 parts: 20% down payment, 4-year loan maximum, 10% of your monthly income for total car expenses. That's it. These 3 numbers can save you tens of thousands of dollars over time. Let's break them down. The first rule is simple. Put at least 20% down when buying a car. Now you might be thinking, why 20%? Because of something called depreciation. Cars lose value extremely quickly. According to Kelley Blue Book, most new cars lose 20 to 30% of their value in the first year alone. So if you buy a $35,000 car with 0 down, the moment you drive it off the lot, it might already be worth $28,000. But you still owe $35,000. This is called negative equity. It means you owe more than the car is worth, and millions of people get stuck in this situation. But putting 20% down immediately reduces this risk. It creates a financial cushion, and it forces you to ask an important question. If I can't save 20% for this car, should I really be buying it? That single question can prevent a lot of bad financial decisions. Part 2. The 4-year loan rule. The second part of the rule says your car loan should be no longer than 4 years. Now here's the problem. The average car loan today is nearly 6 to 7 years long, which is kind of insane when you think about it, because cars depreciate quickly, so people end up paying for a car long after the value has dropped significantly. Shorter loans solve this problem. Yes, the monthly payment is higher, but that's actually the point. A higher payment forces you to buy a more affordable car, which is exactly what you want. And here's another benefit. You pay much less interest. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine you finance $25,000 at 6% interest. Over 7 years, you might pay around $5,600 in interest, but over 4 years, the interest drops to roughly $3,100. That's thousands of dollars saved just by choosing a shorter loan. Now we get to the most important part. Your total car expenses should not exceed 10% of your monthly income. And this is where most people completely fail, because they only think about the car payment. But owning a car includes many costs: insurance, fuel, maintenance, registration, repairs, depreciation. When you add everything together, the number becomes much larger than expected. Let's say someone earns $5,000 per month after tax. According to the 10% rule, their maximum car cost should be $500 per month, not just the payment, everything combined. That means their actual car payment might need to be closer to $300 or $350, and that dramatically changes what kind of car they can afford. But that's exactly the point. The rule protects your financial future. Now here's what most people don't realize. The 20-4-10 rule doesn't just work mathematically, it works psychologically, because money decisions are rarely logical. They're emotional. Cars are one of the most emotional purchases people make. They represent freedom, status, identity, success, which is exactly why people overspend on them. The rule creates guardrails that protect you from emotional decisions. It removes guesswork. It replaces feelings with numbers, and that's incredibly powerful. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what's the big deal if I spend a little more on a car? Here's the big deal. Opportunity cost. Let's say someone spends $800 per month on car expenses instead of $400. That extra $400 per month could have been invested. If invested at 7% annual returns, over 20 years, that money could grow to around $200,000. That's the hidden cost, not the car itself, but the wealth you could have built instead. And this is where financially successful people think differently. They delay expensive cars until their investments are doing the heavy lifting. Let's imagine two people, Alex and Sam. Both earn $60,000 per year. Alex buys a $40,000 car with a long loan. Sam buys a $15,000 reliable used car and invests the difference. 10 years later, Alex has an impressive car history, but Sam might have tens of thousands invested. Same income, different decisions, completely different financial outcomes. If you want to apply the 20-4-10 rule, here's a simple plan. First, calculate 10% of your monthly income. That's your total car budget. Second, estimate insurance, fuel, and maintenance. Subtract those from the budget. The remaining number is your maximum car payment. Third, save 20% for a down payment. Finally, choose a loan no longer than 4 years. If the numbers don't work, the car is too expensive. Simple as that. Look, cars aren't bad, but overspending on them is one of the easiest ways to quietly destroy your financial progress, because the problem isn't the car itself, it's the trade-offs. Every extra dollar spent on a car is a dollar not invested in your future, and small decisions like this compound over time. The people who build wealth usually aren't doing anything magical, they're just avoiding the financial traps most people fall into, and the 20-4-10 rule is one of the easiest ways to avoid one of the biggest traps of all. If this video helped you think about money a little differently, consider subscribing. Because on this channel, we break down the real math behind everyday financial decisions so you can make smarter choices with your money. And I'll see you in the next video.